In this section, we're going to work on bringing in the sound effects and the music. So in the resources for this session, you will find that you have the game sounds and also the icons. So the first thing that we're going to do is work on bringing in a few of these game sounds. Now this is going to be part of an assignment later for you to make all of these sound effects work. The first one that we're going to bring in is going to be the Eat Jelly Bean. Now this is what it sounds like. Okay, so it's just a very, very simple kind of sound. And this one was made in BFXR, which is a free piece of software that you can use online to make your own sound effects. So we're going to bring this in. Now it does need to be in MP3 format. Okay, so you can see there, MP3 format. It will not accept wave sounds. So we go to the sounds section and we're going to bring this in. So I'm just going to call it Eat Jelly Bean. Okay, so we can see we can import MP3. Now don't worry about this one, the OGGs. This is for Windows games or mobile devices. We want MP3. Okay, you can see that I've got a tick mark and now I can play it. And there it is. Okay, so it's in there. It is important that it's saving out at around 44.1 kilohertz and that it is not a variable bit rate. It has to be a constant bit rate for this to work. There also needs to be, it doesn't like metadata or tags, so it has to ensure that there are no metadata or tags in your audio. Now metadata are things like the name of the file, who recorded it, when it was recorded, what year it came out. It's all that kind of data that usually shows up in MP3 players and things. You have to get rid of that data, which you can do in Audacity, which it is saying there. Okay, so I have Eat Jelly Bean. Now I'm going to show you how to incorporate that into the code. So we can see that we have Jelly Bean GUI, Jelly Bean Friend, and Jelly Bean. If I double click on Jelly Bean and go to behaviors, it doesn't have a behavior, but it has an event. Okay, so we've hard coded the event onto the Jelly Bean. So if we go to actor type, we can see that this Jelly Bean is actually killing itself in one frame, which means that it's okay for us simply to include the audio directly into this piece of code. So there is a sound section and we can see play sound. All right, that's how easy it is to add a sound. But we actually want to add it to a channel so that we can switch the channel on and off when we need to. So I'm going to drag this one in. It's going to be above kill self. Don't want it to play after it's destroyed itself. Now you have a choice of play or loop. Loop is mostly for music, play is for sound effects. And I'm going to choose my sound, which is Eat Jelly Bean. And I'm actually going to put this on channel 1. I'm going to reserve channel 0 for the music, channel 1 for this particular sound effect, channel 2 for most of the other sound effects. Okay, and there it is. That is all I need to do. So now if I go back to scenes and start level 1, I can now test the scene. And it should make a noise when I pick up the Jelly Bean. Great. Now I'm going to import another sound file, and this one is for the water drop. So as we can see there, this one is going to play when it moves into the splash animation. And as we can see from the events, we have an actor any. So when this actor hits something, this is when we actually want it to play the sound. But the object exists for a further 0.7 seconds after playing the sound. So I want to show you one of the issues that we're going to have with this particular actor when we try and just attach the sound the same way that we did in the previous session. I'm going to go to sounds and I'm just going to import this sound. So it's water drop. I can't have that because it's already taken for the actor, so I'll call it water drop sound. I'm going to import the MP3. And you can find these in the resources for this session as well as the previous session. And this is water drop. Okay, it's imported. I've got a tick mark. I'm just going to play it so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, so hopefully you heard that. It might actually be quite low. Let me play it through this. That's what the water drop sounds like. Now in the water drop actor, on the events section, actor any, when this actor hits something else, switch animation to splash. Let's try putting the sound in there. So I'm just going to play sound on channel, I'll try channel 2 for this one. I'm going to attach the sound, I'm going to choose the sound. I'm going to open level 1 so that we can see what happens. Okay. So it doesn't sound anything like a water drop. Now what is happening there is that it's trying to play this water drop sound every frame that collision is happening. So for 0.7 seconds it's trying to play around at least somewhere in the region of around 60 sounds every second, which obviously is no good. We don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is something very similar to what we did with the player damage. We're going to trigger an event. Okay, and that event is going to have the light switch method applied. So it's going to be a local attribute that switches it on and off in the same frame so that it can only happen once. So first of all, let's add an event. Advanced custom event. And let's call this custom event sound effect. We can double click on the custom event and rename that as well to sound effect. Now under actor any, we can go to the behaviors section and we can trigger that event in this behavior. We will do it there. So we want to type sound effect, spelled exactly the same as the custom event. Okay. Put that in the dustbin. So now I want to go to attributes and create a local attribute, and this is going to be of a type Boolean. Simply call it playing. Now by default, as a Boolean, that is false. So drag in a conditional if statement and an anything equals anything comparison. Drag in the playing into the left, and we're going to check if it's false to begin with, which is its default state. Then I'm going to go to sounds, and we are going to play the sound on channel. If you remember, it was channel 2. I'm going to choose the sound, water drop sound, and then instantly we're going to go to attributes and setters, and we're going to set playing to true. Okay, that's what's happening. And so that's going to actually switch it off in the same frame. Now the water drop is going to be destroyed, and it will spawn in a new water drop, and by default this attribute will be set back to false. Okay, so it will play the next time that it happens, and that's all we have to do to get that one to work. So let's test level 1 now and see what happens. We are now going to incorporate another sound, and we're going to make this work in a slightly different way using the coding behaviors. This one is for the arrow, and we're simply just going to add this on the events. We already have 2 events on there. First of all, what we're going to do is actually bring the sound in. Okay, so these are the 2 sounds that we have already, and these are the sounds that you can choose from, and you can see arrow, fire, and that's what it sounds like. Generally, these kind of sounds, you want to keep them small and very basic. Okay, you don't want anything overly complex, as when you get an accumulation of many different sounds, that can be it can be too difficult to listen to as you play in the game. So you want to try and keep these very, very basic, certainly for a 2D platform game. I'm going to import this, and I will call it arrow sound. Import the MP3, arrow, fire, and once again, these are in your resources for this session. Okay. Oh, that sounds better when it's played through this. Okay, so back into the arrow, and on the events section, we're going to click Add Event, Basics, and When Creating. Because we want this sound to happen as soon as the arrow is brought into the game, we can do it this way. And because When Created runs for only 1 frame, when it's first created, we're not going to have any issues. So go to the sound section, and we're going to play sound on channel. And I'm actually going to play this on channel 1, the same channel that we used for picking up the jelly beans. Now, the reason why I had the water drop on channel 2 and most of the other sounds on channel 1 is that the water drop could be happening at the same time, for example, as an arrow is firing or you're picking up a jelly bean. The 2 sounds are going to conflict with each other if they're on the same channel. One is going to override the other. If you want multiple sounds to be playing at the same time, put them on multiple channels. Choose the arrow sound. Okay, and that's it. That's all we have to do. So I'm now going to go to scenes, and the one with the arrow, which I think is level 5, maybe. Yep, there's the arrow. So I'm going to character up there, well, maybe there, and test the scene. And that's the water drops you can hear as well. Now we're still on level 5, and we're just going to test this scene. Okay, so there are a few issues with the sounds going on here. Particularly with the water drops, we can hear that there are multiple drops even though there are only 2 on the screen. I'm going to try getting out of the screen so that I can't see any arrows or water drops. So the issue is they're still playing when they shouldn't be. So we're going to fix that so that they don't play when we can't physically see them. If we go to actor types, first of all we have the arrow. So let's double click and open the arrow. Let's go to the events. We can see that under the created, it plays the arrow sound. Now that command tells it to do that no matter where it is in the scene, whether we can see it or not. So go to flow and drag in a conditional if statement, and then go to actors, properties, position, and actor is on screen. So it's going to check if the arrow is on screen. If it is, then it's going to play the sound. This ensures that it doesn't play when our character is further on in the level. And we need to do the same thing with the water drop. So double click to open the water drop, go to events, and this is fine, it's calling it from there, and we want to go to the sound effect custom behavior that we created. Sorry, the custom event rather. We're going to drag this out. We're going to drag in a conditional if statement, go to the actors, and we say if actor is on screen, and then we put all of this inside of there. So now the water drop can only play as long as we can see the water drops. This is only necessary on spawned items. Anything that you collide with, you don't need to do this, because obviously you are on the screen in order to collide with something. So let's go back to level 5. Let's test this scene again. And already the water drops sound much better. Okay, so now I can't see the arrow, I can't see the water drops, and I haven't got any other sounds playing. So what we've just covered are 3 different ways in which you can bring in sounds. So for the arrow, you can see that under the events we have a created. It plays the sound when the object is created. It happens on one single frame, and so it only plays one sound. We also add the jelly bean, and this was on a collision with a player, whereby it kills this particular actor in the same frame. So we were able to simply put play, eat jelly bean on that particular channel for that object. And the third type was for the water drop. Because this water drop persisted for 0.7 seconds after the sound was called, we created a custom event called sound effect. And we used the light switch method. So a simple Boolean attribute to switch it on and off in the same frame so that the sound only played once. So for this assignment, I would like you to bring in all of these sounds, including the main music, although we're going to set those up in the next few sessions. I'd like you to bring all of these in by going to the dashboard, sounds, and just creating new sounds. And then I would like you to decide which is the best method to attach these to the particular actors. So for example, if it's a crumbling block, when should that crumbling block sound, and which of the 3 types of ways to bring in the sounds should you use? You should now have brought all of these sounds in, and we're going to see how you have linked them together to the actors. So the arrow we had already done before. We do have a boss, so let's double click boss. Behaviors, and we have boss moves, so let's edit this behavior, and we should now see a new custom event called boss sound. Okay, so custom event created there, boss sound, and that is called on damage boss. So this custom event is triggering that custom event, and it's triggered there, boss sound, in this behavior. And because this is all contained within its own Boolean, in other words it's got its own light switch, we don't need to put a separate one on there. Next we have boss fireball, and we want this sound to be created when it's first called, so add an event, when created, play boss fireball sound on channel 1. Great, that's done. Boxing key, so there is a key pickup sound. This is under behaviors, get key, and we're going to edit this behavior, and we can see here we have a trigger event key sound in this behavior after 0.3 seconds. This is a custom event called keySound that uses a Boolean attribute to switch it on and off in the same frame. Rumbling block. Once again, we have a custom event called crumble sound that has the same light switch method applied, and that event is called when self hits a player. Under the door, we have a win condition. Now this one's under behaviors, door open, so edit this behavior. And we can see that we have a custom event called win sound that once again has the very same light switch method with the Boolean operator. And this is called here. So when player enters door region, if avkey is equal to true and jellybean is equal to total jellybeans, then trigger event win sound. Dynamite is a pickup. Explosion. Let's have a look at explosion, see if we've got sound on here. So this is when created, play explosion on channel 1. The pickup, jellybean, we have already done. Water drop we have already done. Okay, so we've attached those to the actors. The rest of them now are set in the actor behaviors. So we have pickups. Double click on pickups. And we can see here that each of those have a play pickup attached to each of these actor types. Now the reason why we can attach them there is because they're killed in the very same frame. And then finally we have player damage. Now player damage adds a damage sound custom event, so this is a new one. If playing is equal to false, play player damage sound on channel 1 and then set playing instantly to true, so it switches it off on the very same frame, but we have to reactivate it. So we reactivate it after 0.5 seconds by set playing back to false. So it allows the player to be damaged again. And this is called from the damage player custom events, so it's triggered just there. So it's always good when you've done something like this to check that everything is working properly. So I'm just going to test scene 1 to make sure all the sounds work. You will want to go through every scene to make sure that everything works correctly. Great. We're now going to get the music to start working for these levels. So in the sounds you will have already brought in some music. We have boss music, main music 1 and main music 2. Okay, so main music 1 can be played on the first level, main music 2 on the second, back to number 1 for the third, number 2 for the fourth, etc. all the way through. And then the boss music is just going to be for the boss scene right at the end. These particular music tracks were created in Beatbox, which is available free online to create your own music. Really good for sort of retro style music. Sounds very 8-bit. It's called chiptune music. Okay, so we're going to go to scenes and we're going to just load up level 1. We're going to go to the events on level 1. When created, we're simply going to play the music. So let's go to sounds and we're going to play sound on channel 0. We are going to set it to channel 0 for the music. Instead of play, we're going to choose a loop so that we can play it over and over. I'm going to choose the sound and it will be main music 1. Okay, so let's go back to scenes. We are going to need to do a little bit more with this in a minute, but I want to show you what happens at the moment. So we have our music playing. It's all fine, sounds good. But if we die, die again. It is actually reloading it. Okay, so it's actually fine. Sometimes what it can do, if you die, for example, and go on to another scene, is it can duplicate itself over itself, so it can actually play multiple times. We want to ensure that that is not going to happen. So to do that, we're going to go to events. We're going to ensure that we stop all sounds before we actually start looping the music. So remember that Stencyl does everything in order, so it will do those first. It will then stop all sounds and it will begin looping main music. Because this is uncreated, it only does that on the very first frame. Every frame thereafter, it will then be able to continue to play sounds. Let's just ensure that that works the way that we want it to. Great, so that is working. There's no duplication. It's stopping any sounds or music from playing over each other, and it's just playing the song continuously on the loop. So for level 2, we can do exactly the same thing. First of all, stop all sounds. So that will stop the music from the previous level. And then we can play sound on channel 0. We're going to loop it. We're going to choose main music 2. Test this scene to make sure that it works. Okay, it is playing the music, but very, very quietly. Right, so your task now is to do the same with level 3, level 4, level 5, and level 6. So getting those pieces of music to play on each level. Now on level 6, we have an event whereby we have enters region, and this sets boss active to true. So in this section, we want a different sound because we want the boss sound. So under the sounds, we are going to instantly stop all sounds, and we are then going to loop the boss music on channel 0 at that point. So the first thing that I need to do is go to created. I'm going to stop all sounds, and I'm going to play the main music 2. I'm going to loop it on channel 0 so that we get 2 different types of music on this level. And my character, I believe, is already in place. Now what I'm going to do to make sure that this works is I'm going to put my character here. So main music 2 should be playing to begin with until my character jumps over here and activates the boss. Let's test this. Okay, there we go, and the music suddenly kicked in. We are now going to control switching the music on and off using icons. So it gives the player the opportunity to either switch the music on or off, or the sound effects on or off, and we can do this independently. Go to actor types. Let's create a new actor. We will call this music icon. Click here and then here. And let's choose the image, which you can find in the icons within this session's resources. We're going to go to music icon. You can see that it has 2 rows. Let's add this. Now automatically it's playing the animation, which is not what we want. So click on the second frame. We're going to copy that frame and then remove it. And then we're going to create a new animation by clicking the plus down here. And then we're going to paste that frame into there. So now we have an on and an off animation. So let's rename these. Off for this one and on for this one. And obviously we don't want either of them to be looping since they're not animated. We want to go to their collisions, and we don't want any colliders because these are GUI icons. So we don't want the character interacting with them in any way. For the physics, we want to ensure that it cannot move. Okay, so that's the music icon. Now we need to do the same with the sound effects icon. So we'll call it SFX icon. Choose the image, and that's this one. 2 rows again. I'm going to copy this frame and remove it. Add a new animation and paste the frame into there. And this one is off, not looping. And this one is on, not looping. And ensure that the on state is also the default state. Go to your collisions and remove those. And then to physics and cannot move. Now when we go to the scenes, we can open level 1. Click this button so that we can see the screen bounds. We want our icons to be roughly around here. So go to Actors, ensure that you are on the GUI layer, and let's put in our music icon. So about there. And then do the same with the FX icon next to it. Okay, about there. And don't get them too close, otherwise it can interfere with the user when they're clicking on these icons. Now, obviously both of those do need to be anchored to the screen. So I've actually created a couple of anchors there, but I'm just going to remove those and put those in the dustbin for now. I'm going to show you how to do it because your screen should look like this. Just press and hold shift as you click and drag the last one out, and let's right click and duplicate, right click and duplicate, and then we can put these back into place, and then we can choose the actors now. So we choose that one and choose that one. Now that they're anchored to the screen, we can control those. Now I'm only going to do level 1 at the moment, but you will have to continue to do levels 2 through to 6. Now go back to the dashboard and to actor types, and first of all we'll go to the music icon. Double click to open. We're going to go to the events and control the volume using the events. So we're going to click add an event, basics, input rather, and click on actor. So when the mouse is pressed on self, we go to attributes and we need to create a boolean, and we'll call this pressed. By default it is set to false, so we drag that in. We go to our flow and we drag in a conditional if statement, anything equals anything comparison, and pressed goes into the left. So if pressed is equal to false, then we want to go back to our attributes. We want to set pressed to true. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to go to our sounds, and we're going to control the volume on channel 0 because music is playing on channel 0. So let's first set that up. And we want to set this to 0% so we can completely switch it off. It is still playing, it just doesn't have any volume. And then we're going to set pressed to true. We go to flow and we drag in an otherwise. The reason why we do this is you might be clicking on the button itself to switch it off, but you also need to click back on it again to switch it on. So in that case you would have an if, and then an otherwise. The otherwise always looks for the opposite of whatever this is. So if pressed is equal to false, otherwise is looking for pressed is equal to true, which is what is set there. So if pressed is equal to true, we're going to go to attributes, set pressed, and we need to set it back to false. And we need to go to our sounds, set volume to, and instead of 100%, because I feel that that's a little bit too loud, I'm going to set it to 80% for channel 0. Set pressed to false goes in there. Okay. And let's do the same with the sound effects icon. And what we can do, we can actually go back into the music icon, go to events, and we can right click on this and we can copy. And we can come back to our sound effects icon, we can right click and paste in the grey area to copy an event. Great, when the mouse is pressed on self, we're going to set volume to 0, this time for channel 1. Okay, set volume to 80% for channel 1. And because we have 2 channels here, we need to duplicate these. So Alt Shift and click and drag. We're going to right click and duplicate. I'm going to put that under there and we're going to put it back again. And we're going to change this to channel 2. Do the same again, Alt Shift, drag out, right click, duplicate, and put these back into position. And this is for channel 2. Okay, so now on level 1, we are now going to test the scene to make sure that this works. So we can hear both music and sound effects playing. Click on the music, and that switches the music off. We can still hear the sound effects. Click on the FX, and there are no sound effects. Now we do need to change the animations on these so that they actually appear with the red X's over them. And that is your task. So in the music icon, under the events, configure this so that it actually changes animation from on to off whenever the player clicks on the icons. Then you will need to go into scenes and set up these icons on levels 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You don't need it on the windscreen and you don't need it on the menu. You have now completed levels 1 to 6, the menu and the windscreen. At the moment, you progress from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, etc. all the way to the end. We want to create a menu that allows you to select the levels. You will find in the resources for this section a level select art. We have the door, level complete screen, level title and the menu title. We're going to be using these to create our screen that allows you to select different levels. So let's bring them in. So create a new actor. We're going to call this door menu. Then we're going to import the image. And this just needs slicing up. So there are 6 columns and 4 rows. Now we're not really interested in having the door open animation, so click on frame 2 and press shift and click on frame 15 and delete them. We're only really interested in these, and let's get rid of these blank frames as well. Now we need to separate all these out into their own frames, into their own animations. So with the last one selected, copy that frame, create a new animation and paste. Then go back and we're going to delete that frame. We're going to repeat the process, do the same again. We're going to copy, create a new animation, paste, go back, and we're going to remove that frame. And just keep repeating the process until each animation has one frame that is the separate door image. Okay, finally we remove that frame, and now they're all completed. What we need to do now is basically change the names. So let's call this one open. Sorry, closed rather. Let's uncheck looping. This one is going to be a 3-star. Uncheck looping. This one is going to be 2-star. Now make sure that they're all named exactly the same, no spaces. 1-star. And this one is the open animation. And uncheck looping. Great. So now under the collision, ensure that you get rid of the colliders. Since these are basically menu images, you don't need to interact with them. So the physics can be set to cannot move. Create a new actor. I'm going to call this one Levels Title. Choose the Levels Title image. Doesn't need to be looping. We can go to collision and we can delete the collider. Go to physics and set to cannot move. Create another actor. We will call this Menu Title. Import the image. Once again, uncheck looping, go to collision, delete the collider, and in physics set to cannot move. We have another piece of artwork. We're going to import this in through the backgrounds. Let's click here to create one. We will call this Level Complete. It's a little bit different. We're going to click here to add a frame, choose the image, and there's the image. Now what this does, it actually gives you an entire background image, alright, which you will import slightly differently. It's in case if you want to use background images, which we do. We are now going to create a level complete screen. So go to scenes and create a new scene. We're going to call this Level Complete. The width and height are fine. We can leave them as they are. Set the background solid color to black and create. We're not going to use tiles. We're going to go down here. I'm going to create a new, but instead of a new tile layer, we will create a new background layer. That allows us to select the level complete screen. And as you can see, it just fills the screen nicely. Now click on layer 0, then click the up arrow key to set it above the background. So anything you place on there will now show up. This screen is going to, we're going to come to this screen after we've completed the level. It's going to take us back to a menu. So click Add Region and draw a region box around the menu. Go to Events and add an event, and it's going to be an input, and click on Region. So set that to is pressed on, and the region we can simply choose from the screen. Now we're going to go to Scenes and Game Flow. We're going to switch to Scene. Choose the scene. Now we're going to have to use this menu. The reason why, we don't actually have our scene created yet. This is actually going to go to the level select screen, which we haven't created. We're going to do that in the next video. So just set it to menu for now. 0.5 seconds for the fade out and 0.5 seconds for the fade back in. No, let's not test the scene. We know it's going to work. Okay, so back to World Editor. And what we're going to do now, we're going to open level 1. I'm just going to close that to save it. And as you can see, it's now got a thumbnail. We'll click on the door for level 1 and the inspector. Now where it says transition to level 2, click on this and ensure that it goes to the level complete screen. You're going to do this on all of the other levels. So level 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to create a new scene. We're going to call this level select. The width and height are fine. And from the solid color, let's choose the same blue color that we use for the main menu. And we're going to rename layer 0. So double click on it and rename it as titles. And then from the actors section, we can find the main titles. So levels should go on the top, and the menu title on the bottom left. Now we can add a new layer. This is a new tile layer. We're going to double click on it and we're going to rename this as objects. And we're going to find the door menu actor. And we're going to start positioning these. Now, because we have 6 levels, we need 6 doors. And if you decide to do more levels, obviously you can put more doors on this screen, or you can create a second screen. Try and space them apart evenly. So I need to work on this. I need to space these. I'm going to click on the grid so that it helps me to lay them out. So try and space them evenly across the screen. 3 on the top and then 3 on the bottom. Okay, that looks okay. I'm going to go back and put in another 3 doors. And switch off the grid. Okay, I think that looks fine. Now the player can click on any of these doors to progress. So to do that, we're going to draw regions around each door. You have to keep clicking back on the region to set a new region. Because once you finish the region, it goes back to default select. We also want the player to be able to get back to the menu, so we're going to draw a region around that. Great. Now we can go to the events section and add an event. It's going to be an input. Let's click on region. Change this to is pressed on, and then we can choose the menu region. From the scenes, we can go to game flow and switch to scene and fade out. And obviously the scene, we need to choose it. It is the main menu. 0.5 for the fade out and 0.5 for the fade in. Okay, we can close that to save it. Now that we have that set up, let's go back into the main menu screen. And where the player can click play, it goes directly to scene level 1. We want to change that so that it goes to the level select screen. So choose the scene and change this to the level select. Now we can close that. And let's also change the level complete as well, because at the moment this is going directly back to the main menu. What we want is to go to the events and change the main menu to the level select screen. Great, that is now complete. We will now work on the code for the level select screen. This will allow us to click on each of the doors, and that will take us to the corresponding level. So level 1, level 2, level 3, etc. Now, even if you've completed level 1, and let's say you're on level 5 or level 6, you can go back and replay the other levels. So let's go to scene behaviors and create a new scene behavior. Let's call this level doors. That's great. First thing we need is a game attribute. So let's create a new one. And we'll call this level number. And it's going to be of a type number, initial value is 0. Okay, there it is. And we also need attributes. So let's create an attribute. It is going to be of type actor, and we will call this door 1. Click OK. Now if it doesn't show up, you just simply create a new event when creating and it shows up. This allows us, we're going to continue to create this for all of the 6 doors. We're going to create a separate attribute for each, and this allows us to associate each door with the code. We can control which levels each door links to. So door 5 and one more for door 6. Okay, under the when created event, we're going to go to flow and we're going to drag in an if conditional statement. We want greater than or equals to comparison. We're going to go to the attributes, the game attributes, and we need level number. So if level number is equal to or greater than 0, we're going to load level 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to actors and draw. And we're going to switch animation for the door 1 actor. Go to actor types and we go to door menu. We can see that we have various animations. It's closed by default, but we actually want it to be open. So we have to type this name exactly as it appears. So type open. Where it says actor, we can now choose our attribute and we can link that to door 1. We need to do this for all the other doors as well. Let's just attach this to the scene to begin with, to the level select screen. And now we can see that we have to associate each door with the attributes. So click choose actor and then choose each door respectively. Okay, there we go. Now let's just test the scene to ensure that this works so far. Great, so now we can see that door 1 is open by default and all the others are closed. We are now going to get the doors to work. Whenever we click on the door, it should take us to the scene. So we're going to do it with this first door to begin with. Let's go to behaviors, and we're working with the level doors code. So click edit behavior. First thing we need is a new attribute. So create an attribute. This is going to be of type region. We will just simply call this region 1. We'll create another one, and obviously there are 6 doors, so we will need 6 regions. Just create those now. And obviously if you want to add more levels, you just create more regions. And that will allow you to select each level from this particular scene. Okay, great. So now we're going to add a new event, and it's going to be an input on region. Change this to is pressed on, and then the region we can actually choose the attribute, and it's going to be region 1. We go to our flow and we need a conditional if statement. Once again, greater than or equals comparison, and it's game attributes and level number. As long as the level number is greater than or equal to 0, we are going to be able to load up the first level scene. So switch to scene, we're going to choose level 1. Fade out for 0.5 seconds and fade in for 0.5 seconds. We go back to our level select. Actually, we need to close these because we need to assign the regions. So close them from the scenes, open the level select again. Let's go to behaviors and we will see that it's populated these regions. We need to choose the regions. Now region 1 is actually region 0. It's a little confusing. It's just the name order for them. The computers always start from 0. Okay, let's test the scene. Now when we click on level 1, it takes us directly to level 1. Now we already have the first level, the first door completed. That's already done. Your job is to do the same with level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 and level 6. You're going to get the doors to work. Okay, so in the behaviors, the level doors code, you're going to edit that behavior. And you're going to, under when created, you're going to do something very similar to this. So if level number is greater than or equal to, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You're going to switch the animation to open for each door. You're also going to do that on the regions. Now you will have to create new on-region events for each one. Let's go to the behaviors and let's edit the level doors behavior. So now you should see that under the when created, we have levels numbers all the way down to 5, which is for level 6, because remember it begins at 0. And for each one, for door 2, door 3, down to door 6, the animation changes to open. So it will only open them once we've advanced to the next level. Okay, and then we have on region level 1 is what we worked on before. Now, if you take a look at level 2, it's actually a duplicate. It's very, very easy. This one is simply region 2, selecting the attribute. If level number is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to switch to level 2. Okay, and same with level 3, it's simply region 3. If level number is greater than or equal to 2. Same thing again, and then obviously this one switches to level 4, all the way down to level 6. That will obviously change all of those doors. Now to test this, let's go to attributes in the settings and let's go to level number. Let's just change this to 4 to begin with, because we want to see all the doors open. So let's click test scene. So this is for debugging purposes. Great, and now we can see that the majority of doors are open. The last door is not open because it's only if this door only opens if it's greater than or equal to 5, which it isn't. We can also click on that door now, and that takes us to the scene. Let's click back on settings, attributes, and change level number back to 0. We are now going to create the code that allows us to progress through the levels. And this will open each door once you've completed a particular level. So each of these levels is going to be powered by a certain command. And this is attached to the door. So double click and open the door, go to the behaviors, and it's the door open code. Let's edit this behavior. Well, let's click attributes, and we're going to create a new attribute. I'm going to call this level. Going to be able to type number. Let's click OK. Under the attributes, we can see that the default value is 0 for level, which is fine. We're going to add. Oh, actually, we're going to click this enters region because it's here where we need to place it when we're ready to advance to the next level. So let's go to game attributes, and we have this level number. Let's drag this in for now. Let's go to attributes and level. We're going to drag that in as well. Let's go to flow, conditional if statement, and we're going to place it there. Then we're going to say anything equals anything comparison. Level number on the left and level on the right. We're going to check if the level number is equal to the level. Then we're going to go to setters and we're going to set level number 2. Okay, we need to drag in the current level number. It's numbers and text, and then it's plus. We're going to increment it by 1. So we're going to drag level number into the left and we're going to say plus 1. The reason why we have this if statement is that if you are replaying the level, you don't want it to increment every time you replay it. It will only increment if this level is new, you're playing it for the first time. And this will make sense once we actually configure it in the scene. So imagine if this is the first level, then level number should be equal to 0 because level is equal to 0. As soon as it's equal to 1, it will do nothing. It won't advance the level number. Now go to scenes and we can actually open level 1, and we can now click on the door and go to the inspector, and now we can see we've got a level slot. It should be 0 by default. And then let's go into level 2. We can do the same. We can click on the door, the inspector, and on this one we need to set this level to 1. So now the code knows which level we're actually on. And you need to do the same with levels 3, 4, 5 and 6. Actually, there's no door in level 6, so you can't do it on that one. Click back on the door. We're just going to test this, so for testing purposes, I'm going to drag my character up here, and I only need to collect 2 jelly beans, so I'm just going to change total jelly beans to 2 for testing purposes, and I'm going to test the scene. So I'm just going to collect the key and each jelly bean. Great, so the door works, takes me to this. I'm going to click on menu, and now it's opened the second level, which is great, and now I can actually click on the second level and it takes me there. Okay, that works. All I have to do now is reset these total jelly beans on level 1. Don't forget to do that. We are going to add stars as level achievements to the level complete screen. So double click to open this. There's going to be 3 stars in total. So if you complete the level in a certain amount of time, you're going to be awarded 3 stars. In the resources for this section, you will see the big star. I'm going to bring that in as an actor type. So click here to create a new actor, call it big star. Okay, we're going to import the image. It's just a single image, it's quite large. Doesn't need to be looping. Collision, there's no colliders. And physics set this to cannot move, it's purely visual. Okay, so let's add the stars to this layer 0. Let's double click to rename it and call it stars. Go to actors and we should now see the big star. Click on this and we're just going to set 3 big stars. Just be above the level complete text. Great. Now I'm actually just going to move those over slightly, so I'm just going to drag a box, and then I can click and drag these more into the center. I'm going to go to the events. I'm going to add an event. It's going to be a when creating. I'm going to go to actors, and it's going to be under the tweening and the fade section. I'm going to drag in a fade in command. I actually want them to fade out, so change that to out. It's going to be over 0 seconds, and I can actually now choose my actor. But before I do that, I'm going to right click and duplicate because I need 3 of these. Put them all together and then put this back in when created. And I'm going to choose each star. So there should be 3 for 3 stars. There we go. And what that will do, when the level is completed, you won't see the stars because they will just fade out. Now we need to do a bit of math to calculate the achievement for the levels. So go to Scene Behaviors and we're going to open the GUI behavior. I'm going to go to the created. We can see set minutes to time start. Time start is actually in minutes. We're going to go to attributes and we're going to use this time start. We also need to calculate the seconds as well. So we need to actually add those together. Now the time start, because it's in minutes, we need to set it to seconds. We're going to add seconds to minutes. We need them both to be the same value. Create a new attribute, call it number, and we're going to call this total time. Okay, so this is going to be used in order to store both minutes and seconds added together. So we're going to go to setters, and we're going to drag in total time, set total time to. Going to put it under there. Okay, going to go back to getters. We're going to drag in time start. We go to numbers and text, and we're going to multiply this. Because it's in minutes, we need to multiply it by 60. Okay, drag this in under the plus. Put this here, and we need to add the seconds. So we need to go to game attributes. We need to drag seconds, which is right there at the bottom, to that. So if it's, for example, 1 minute, that's going to turn that into 60 seconds plus 59. So you're going to end up with 60 plus 59, which is going to give you your total time in seconds. Create another attribute. It's going to be a number again. I'm going to call this first. Okay, we need to do the same again. I'm going to go to a number, and this one's going to be called second. And we're going to do it again. This is going to be a number, and it's going to be called third. These are the numbers that we would expect a player to achieve in order to get first, second, or third place. Now, actually, third means like 3 stars, second means 2 stars, first means 1 star. So actually, it's going in the reverse order. Drag the set first, second, and third into the scene. Now we're going to go to numbers and text, and we're actually going to drag in a division. Okay, so we need divider arithmetic. We're going to go to our attributes. We're going to drag in total time into the first section, which is obviously all of this. And we're going to divide that by 4, 3, and finally 2. So to get third, you have to complete it in half the time. To get second, you have to complete it in a third of the time. To get first, you need to complete it in a quarter of the time. Well, let's drag those in. Now we want to check to make sure that this is actually displaying the correct number. We're going to find out. We're going to go to our drawing section. Temporarily, we're going to go down to our drawing. We're going to draw text anything, and we'll drag it just below the set current font to. Now in this draw text, we want to drag in an attribute. Let's drag in total time. We'll see what it's calculating. For the X, we're going to set it a little bit further on than this. So instead of 50, we're going to type in here around 80. And it's going to be 10 on the Y. We're going to drag in another draw text just beneath that. We're going to go to our attributes, and let's see what it's calculating for third. Let's drag that one in. And for the X, I will set this to 100, and for the Y, 10. Okay, now go to the dashboard and scenes. And let's open level 1, and let's test this scene to see what values are being created. Okay, my coordinates are wrong. I need to space these out a bit further. So instead of it being 100 on this one and 80 on this one, let's space them a bit further apart. So for the first one, let's set it 120 on the X, and on the second one, let's set it 160 on the X. Test the scene again. Great, now we can see it. So in total it's 179 seconds, and to get just 1 star I need to complete the level in 89.5 seconds. So when the scene reaches 90 seconds and it goes below, it will actually fall down to 1 star. Okay, we can now hold shift as you click and drag to drag these out, and we can put those in the dustbin. Okay, we don't need to see those, we were just testing that it worked. Great, so that is our achievement set up. We need to record the achievement for each level. So click on Scene Behaviors and let's reopen the GUI Scene Behavior. Under the Created, we have all of these values. Okay, but this is only when created, so it's setting the default values that are required for the 1 star, 2 star and 3 star. Let's create a new attribute. Let's call this a number, and we will call this current time. Okay, so this is going to calculate in real time. Let's go to every second. So every 1 second we want it to recalculate these values. So let's go to setters and we're going to set current time to. We'll go to getters and we need time start. And we need number and text, and we need to multiply that by 60 because remember this is in minutes, so we need to convert it to seconds. So we're going to multiply that by 60 and then we're going to add seconds onto that. So drag that into there, game attributes, and the seconds game attribute at the bottom. That's going to give us the value, and it's going to give us the value in real time. So if we're already 2 minutes into the game, that value is going to be different than the one on when created. Now let's go to flow, drag in a conditional if statement. Now we actually need a less than or equal to. I'm going to go to our attributes. I'm going to say if current time is less than or equal to, it's going to be first. In other words, if it's less than or equal to that 89.5 for the first level, we're going to create a new game attribute, and it's actually going to be of a type text this time. We're going to call this achievement. Okay, and its initial value, instead of it being 0, we're actually going to set this to open. Okay, and this is called a string value. There's a reason why we're using a string value. We go to dashboard and let's just click on actor types and let's just open this door menu. We take a look at these animations, each of them has a specific name. String name. If we record a string value, we can actually just call the animation names directly from the attribute, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go to setters, we're going to set achievement to in this section, and this is going to be the same as saying 1 star. So we actually just want to type that in there, so 1 star. Now, we need to do the same again. We need to drag in a conditional if statement. And this time it needs 2 factors, so we need to use a Boolean and operator. Okay, on the left side, we're going to do a is less than or equal to. Needs to be attributes, is less than, current time is less than or equal to second. But it also needs to be greater than first. So if we go back to flow, we're going to say is greater than. Attributes, current time is greater than first. Great, so it doesn't conflict with it. And this is kind of bracketing. We're bracketing this command in a set location. We're going to set achievement to, and this is going to be the same as saying 2 star. So we're going to type in 2 star. Now finally, for the third one, we just simply need a conditional if statement. And for this one, it only needs to be greater than, is greater than or equal to. And obviously current time is greater than or equal to third. Okay, so we don't need to, say it's also greater than second. So this one is going to be 3 star. Now we are going to sort out the star rating for the level complete screen. So let's open that. We want it so that if you get 1 star, 2 star or 3 star, that they show up on this screen. So let's go to the events. We have a when created, which has simply faded everything out, and now we're going to feed all that data back in. Let's drag in a conditional if statement. Do something very similar to that. We're going to drag in an anything equals anything comparison. Go to our game attributes, and we're going to drag in achievement on the left. If achievement is equal to, go back to our scene behaviors, double click on the GUI so that we can see what we've done already. Every n seconds, if it is equal to 1 star, we need to say. It's fine to just type values into these boxes. We go to actors, tweening, and we're going to drag in the fade in actor. I'm going to choose the actor, and it's going to be star number 1. We're going to fade it in over 0 seconds. Back to 0.5 seconds so that we can actually see a nice kind of fade in of the star. Drag this out. Let's right click and duplicate, as we need to duplicate this one. And if the achievement is 2 star, we actually need to fade in 2 of these stars. So drag this out, duplicate it, put it in, and we need to change big star 1 to big star 2. So now we're fading in 2 stars. Very easy to do the third one. Duplicate again. Change this to 3 star. And let's duplicate this last fade in. And let's set big star 2 to big star 3. Great. So that's all we need to do to set up our star achievement on this screen. Let's click settings at the top, and for testing purposes click attributes. We're going to go to achievement, and we're just going to set it to, let's set it to 2 star to see what it does. Let's click OK. Go to scene, and we're going to test this scene. Now we should see 2 stars appear on the screen. Great, that works, and we saw them fading in as well, which looks really nice. Go back to settings, attributes, and let's set achievement back to open. Okay, so we've got the level complete to work. Now if we go back to the level select screen, what we need now is for each of these doors to appear with the stars inside of them. Let's click on events. If achievement is equal to 1 star, I'm going to go to game attributes. I'm going to create a new game attribute. We're going to be able to type text, and we're going to call this door 1. Initial value we can leave at 0, that's fine. Okay, so there's door 1 at the bottom. And obviously we will need to create another one for door 2. Because, oh, wait a second, click on that, click back, and then appears. And obviously because there are 6 doors, we will need to create 6 of those. Okay, and that's your task, to create those. So when the mouse is pressed on region 0, it's going to switch to level select. What we're going to do, we're going to go to flow, drag in a conditional if statement just above the switch to. Let's drag in an anything equals anything comparison. And we're going to go to game attributes, and we need to check the level number. So drag in level number. We're going to ask it if it is equal to 1. The reason why we're typing 1 and not 0 is it will already have updated, incremented after you've completed the first level. If it is, we're going to set door 1 to achievement. Okay, so ensure that you're not typing 0 in there, it should be 1. Okay, even though level 1 technically is the same as saying level 2. But that will show up the stars on the level 1 door. And we need to do the same again, so hold shift as you click and drag this out, or you can just go and do it manually. So we're going to drag in an if anything equals anything, game attributes, and it's going to be level number, and this time it equals 2. So if you've completed the second level, it's already incremented a number and updated it. We're going to set door 2 to achievement. Now your task for assignment 18 is to complete this for all of the doors. So you're going to do it for the rest of the doors to complete this assignment. So this is what your code should now look like on your level complete scene. So each door is being recorded, its values are being recorded, so depending on its level number. This is going to tell each door that whether it should be 1 star, 2 star or 3 star. Now back on the level select, that means that each door can have its own animation. Now back on the scenes, if we go to the windscreen, you're going to notice that level 6 did not have a door. So under the codes on the region, when it's pressed on region 1, instead of going to the menu, we're actually going to take it to the level complete screen. In that way it can actually record the achievement value, so you can find out if you got 1, 2 or 3 stars for level 6. I'm going to go to behaviors, level doors, and we're going to edit this behavior. Okay, so under the when created, we have all of these different level number, and obviously these are setting the animations. What we're going to do is go to actors and we're going to switch animation to, we're going to put it under this second one. Okay, we're going to go to game attributes and we're going to drag the door. We're going to drag door 1 in here and we're going to choose attribute door 1. Now that has to be if level number is greater than or equal to 1. In other words, you've already completed the first level. Okay, that's actually going to show up there, so it's going to show up the star value and it's going to open door 2. And we need to do the same for the other ones, and each time the doors are we're going to add that value by 1. So this time we need to drag in 2 of those, level 2, and we're sort of repeating what we've done before. So door 1 goes in the top and then door 2 in the one below it. We need to assign that to door 1 and 1 to door 2. Now obviously for the next one it's going to be door 1, 2 and 3, and then door 1, 2, 3 and 4 for the next one, etc., all the way down to the bottom. So this is what your code should now look like on the level doors behavior. So for each door, as the levels increment, it's actually opening all of the doors. Okay, it's actually setting them to a star value. Now you'll actually notice that there is no if level number is greater than or equal to the last level, which is 6. So we're going to come into the win, we're going to go to the events where it says on region. We're going to click on the game attributes and we're going to create a new game attribute. It's going to be a boolean, false to begin with, and we're going to name this level win. Click OK. Just change over in order for it to display. There's level win. We're going to set level win to true. Okay, that's going to indicate that we have got to that point and we have actually won the game. Now under the level doors, sorry, I'm just going to close these so I can show you how to get to them. Scene behaviors, level doors. Just going to double click to modify this. We go all the way down to the bottom and I'm going to drag in a conditional if statement, put it all the way down at the bottom. I'm going to say anything equals anything. We're looking for level win, and that should be equal to true. Okay, so if level win is equal to true, then we can do all this. We can drag that out, we can right click. We're going to duplicate all of these, and let's put these ones back. Now for these ones, we just drag them up temporarily. For the last one, we're going to right click, duplicate that last one, and put it back into the stack. Now we want to get rid of this door 5 and we want to replace it with a door 6. Right at the bottom. Great. And now choose the attribute that is going to be linked to door 6, and let's put these into this last section. So now when we win the game, we also get an achievement value for door 6 as well. Great, and now that is complete. So under this particular scene, the level select scene, we should now theoretically be able to see the stars on all of the doors once we've completed the game. Now that everything is complete, it's a good idea to do a bit of bug testing. So you actually want to play the game, test it and see what happens. But before we do that, we just want to reset our character's position on each level. So we need to go through each level, just make sure that everything's set up properly. So that should say total jelly beans is 20, level is 0. That is correct. So that everything else is fine. Okay. That should link to level complete, which goes to level select, and then allows us to get back to level 2 once we've completed level 1. For level 3, this one's set up fine. Level 4, our character's in place, that's great. Level 5, yep, our character is there, that's fine. And for level 6, our character's missing, so let's locate him. He's over in the boss scene, so let's put him back to the beginning of the level. Great, there he is. So now it's just a case of trying to play through the game to see if it all works properly. I have completed my bug testing, so I've tested the game to see what it's like. Now on level 2, I've found that it's a little bit difficult, so I've made a few changes. On this particular moving platform, I've actually reduced the speed down to 6. This allows me to jump on the moving platform, as I kept missing it before it was too fast. Everything else is the same. And for this wall, I've also reduced it a little bit so it can actually get to the door easier. So that was just a case of going into the tiles, erasing that one and replacing it with a top tile there in order to get to the door. Okay, just makes it that bit easier. Okay, I've just added a couple of crumbling blocks in case if my character misses this platform. Makes it a little bit easier for them to complete it. Now you might want your level to be really difficult. That's up to you. It's just I made a design decision there. Go to the scenes, level select. Let's say that this level 2, we actually wanted it to be later. Let's say we want our level 2 to appear there, so we want to reorganize our levels. Obviously that's quite easy. We'll go into our level doors, we will edit the behavior. Where it's click on region, level 1, and then only on level 2, we can just simply switch to a different scene. If we want level 2 to appear on level 5, that means that our level 2 is actually now going to be level 3. Okay, so we need to set that to level 3. And then on level 3, this one's going to be level 4, so we need to select that one. Level 4 is now going to be level 5, so we need to choose that one. And our level 5 is now going to be level 2, as I feel it's much more difficult in relation to the other levels. And now level 6 is unchanged. Okay, so that will start those. But we do still need to change our level numbers on each of the scenes. If we double click on level 2 and click on the door, our level number will no longer work in that respect. For the reason that on level 5 it's expecting it to be if level number is greater than or equal to 4. So I need to set that to 4 for that to work. I'm just going to change this to 4. Alright, now that will work. If I click level 3, I need to find a door now. When I click on the door, I need to change this level number to 1. Okay, so I'm actually reducing the numbers on each level now. So I'll find the door again on level 4. Inspector, and I will reduce this down to 2. Finally, for level 5, find the door. And inspector, and I will change this number from 4 down to 3. Okay, great. I've reorganized the scenes, so now they should work fine. Level 6 is still the same. Level 6 is fine. Test the game. So it begins from the default scene and you can play all the way through. Just want to make sure that this is going to work. Okay, so from there I can click play. Now the doors are all closed. Obviously level 1 is going to work fine. So what I need to do is go to settings, attributes, and I'm going to just change the level number temporarily. I'm going to increase this up to about 3. Click OK. And once again I'm going to test the game. So now it should open a few more doors and we can make sure that level 2 is now opening. Level 3, and that everything is nicely reorganized. Play. Great, so we have some open doors. Let's click on the second level and yep, that opens level 3. That's much better. Just die on this one, so that takes us back to the main menu. Click play. Let's test our next menu. So level 3 now opens our level 4. That's great. Die again. Finally, we want to test this scene, and yep, this one opens the correct level as well. So that's great. So everything's working just fine. Now let's change our level number back to 0. The game is now complete. Everything is done, so we've got our full 6 levels, we've got our main menu, level select screen, and our level complete screen. The main menu should have a star in it. If it doesn't, click the mark as starting scene. Okay, so everything is set up. Now first of all, let's just export the game. Sorry, not save the game. Let's cancel that. We want to file and export the game so that we've got a working project file in case we need to come back and work on that. I'm just going to save it in my downloads. Just click save. Great. So it's written that out and there it is. That's our Stencyl file. Now we need to publish it. So let's click publish, web and flash. Obviously it compiles everything. It's compiling the code. This is going to save it out as an SWF file that we can upload onto websites so that people can play this. So mining for jelly beans is fine. Okay. Save, and there we go. Location, it's saved it out. It's been exported as an SWF file. Shockwave file. And that can be obviously put onto a game website, any free game website. And you can see that the file size is pretty small, 8.6. So it's actually, 8.4 megabytes. So that's pretty small. Great, so now you have a completed game and you have the completed export. I hope that you have enjoyed this series.